Okay, let me preface this, and he could vouch for me. I don't care about talking about this. I'm not interested in it. I don't understand why anybody's interested in it, but apparently this is something that's newsworthy, and so we have to address it.
I don't know how long you made this column.
So many things I shouldn't know, and they all know it. They all know it. Why? Because you don't make me the villain. Not the guy that raises black children and ain't never done a hard drug in his life and don't have no stories of doing nobody dirty. And they'll just go out and they'll lie. The industry doesn't mess with Katt because he didn't show up for the studio. No studios have ever said that. Look at my IMDb.
So I'm taking them at face value.
These are this is like Steve Harvey telling people he used to be homeless. That's my story. That's not his story. Steve Harvey wasn't never homeless. When Mark Curry was touring with him 25 years ago, he was making $3,000 a show in cash and doing 5 shows a week. They just tell the stories. Thanks to my wife, I'm where I am. You said that about the first wife. You forget that? You told us it was her. Then you went and married somebody else that think like a man. Like, what are you talking about? They think they can rewrite history. Guy Torrey did a beautiful special about the Comedy Store and Fat Tuesday, where he said that Steve and Cedric and Kevin Hart and Tiffany Haddish came through there and made all lies. They canceled me for talking about Harvey Weinstein before the thing came out, but he offered to suck my penis in front of all my people at my agency. What am I supposed to do? He did all of that. I'm thinking I'm the only black person on the script. I get there, it's 3 other black guys on there. Woo. Huh.
So you wonder what they did to get there.
It's a very good point. And he also brings up Diddy. The reason why I wanted to play this clip, and there's a little bit more to it, is that there is this sort of rite of passage in the entertainment world that people really don't want to talk about. Now,
you mean being molested by Harvey Weinstein?
Oh, that's just one. Just one. That's
Apparently,
just one.
Yeah.
There are many layers to these types of stories. But I will tell you that when it comes to Harvey Weinstein, I knew about Harvey Weinstein like 15 years ago. And the reason I knew about him is because I have a friend. We don't communicate as much anymore because he actually lives in China now. But he was somebody who was a producer, and he actually got fairly high up in terms of his network. And it was a known thing that Harvey Weinstein is a sexual predator and abuser. And this was back in like 2008, 2009.
I think I knew something was very weird going on. I didn't know who the person was, but I knew something was very weird going on with a whole bunch of young women that were basically the same generation of women. It's the casting couch. But I mean, when I was, and these are women that are like my age or maybe a few years older than me. So it was like Uma Thurman, Mira Sorvino. There were certain women that just sort of disappeared.
Yeah.
That disappeared or were written off as being difficult, or they were like, the things came out about them and just weird things. And I started noticing this trend. I think it was Ashley Judd. There was like a bunch of these women of that same age group that were basically ostracized at different points in time over a period of about 5 years. And I started thinking something's very weird here. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that it was Harvey Weinstein because I didn't know the name, but I knew something was going on.
Yeah, there's no question that it was definitely, his abusive tendencies were along the lines of a pervert. Like that was a huge part of it. But there's many different reasons why people have these power trips when they are in positions of authority.
Yeah, Sharon Stone. That's another answer.
Sharon Stone was blacklisted. And you know why Sharon Stone was
Amber Heard has no sympathy from anything. She can go F herself.
The reason why Sharon Stone was blacklisted is because Sharon Stone at one time was the hottest in more ways than one commodity in Hollywood. And this was between probably 1990 and 1994. I would say.
Right after Basic Instinct.
Yeah, and basically the last hurrah that she had as an actress, believe it or not, was her best role, and that was in Casino. And probably the reason why these things happen is because she wouldn't fuck any of the executives. And once that happens, it's like, oh, well, okay. okay, well, you've had your fun and now you can go away. And that's basically what ends up happening in many instances. And that's only the instances you know of women being abused. How about men that get abused? How
Well,
about
I remember what Corey,
boys?
what about Corey Feldman has
Corey
said
Feldman.
many times.
Corey Feldman said, and I quote, that Charlie Sheen raped Corey Haim on the set of Lucas back in 1986, and yet people still want to pretend like this shit didn't go down at the time.
No, what happens is that the whistleblower gets the blacklisted.
Correct. The
Always.
whistleblower, and of course, Corey Haim ended up, rest in peace. There was a guy who you could tell was severely abused.
Oh my God.
He got so heavily into drugs and could never get his life straight. And you know that this is going to eat at Feldman for the rest of his life because he was very tight with him.
But you have to assume, like, for every rat you see, there's 50 you don't. So that was obviously
Correct.
just rampant. That was just running rampant through Hollywood. The truth is, it probably still is. Because I feel like there's always going to be, the underground will always go deeper. No matter how much you clear of the underground, they'll go deeper. But
it's the price for fame in so many instances. I saw a movie a number of years ago that some of you may still remember. It was called 8mm with Nicolas Cage. This was back in '99, I want to say. It was
Brendan Fraser too.
Brendan Fraser was abused. There is no question that this is a serious problem. And if you think it's a serious problem in the white community, imagine what it's like in the black community, where you're basically told to shut your mouth and not even talk about it. Like that's not what a man does. Terry Crews came out and admitted, big buff Terry Crews said that I was abused. This shit's real. And Katt Williams has 0 F's to give, and I applaud him because there's a little bit more to this. So we'll continue.
Told him no. What y'all do? And this is why when I walk in a room, heads go down.
You see Jonathan Major, what he went through, Marvel dropped him as soon as the conviction came out. And you were telling the
Hey, you saw that black woman come get his charge cut in half? Thank you, Megan Good. God bless you coming to save that slave. If he'd had to be there by himself, he was getting all four. Guilty, 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 guilty. She came in there, it was just so beautiful, they had to knock half of it off. Bless his heart. It's just work ethic. And not the work ethic they talk about. They tell you work ethic where they do all these movies. I'm the hardest working man. Well, no, everybody goes to work every day.
Right.
Yeah. Don't say, I go to work all the time. Everybody who works goes to work every day. Shut up. Shut up. You get, what? You think I respect you more than my gardener? I don't. I don't. He work every day. Rain or shine. These people are not powerful. Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people. That's why, you know what the #1 job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
Is to act like it didn't happen.
That's pretty.
That's the most powerful.
That is like the best way to sell. That's what happens when you sell your soul to Hollywood. You make it.
You
happen.
know that it's going down, and you are aiding and abetting the crime. I've always felt in many ways, and you tell me if you think different, but I've always felt that the people who allow the crime to go on are the ones who are actually worse.
It's bad, and there were definitely a lot of enablers and people around people like Harvey Weinstein and whoever else is in that, community. They definitely have people enabling their behavior and covering for them.
I think it also comes full circle with the whole conversation about what's going on, in the Middle East, and specifically what's happening in Gaza and the West Bank. You've all seen the video of the big schlub who has been interviewed multiple times. Well, if I didn't take that person's house, somebody else was going to take it. So basically, you're justifying your apartheid and genocide because if you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. It's really terrible that these actors and actresses get abused. They go on the casting couch and then they constantly have to be doing things. And by the way, if there's one person I want to really tip my hat to Katt Williams on for calling out, Diddy. Somebody finally had to do it. And thank you for really blowing the lid in more ways than one as far as Diddy's concerned. Because that son of a bitch, he's been doing his thing for a long time. He got away with basically putting a gun to a person's head when he was with J-Lo back in I want to say it's 2000, 2001. He should have in New York, he should have went to prison for 15 to 20 years, but that didn't happen because when you're in positions of authority, you're able to get away with things like that. Whereas Plexico Burress, who was a forgive me for making this a sports
Always
transition.
a sports.
When he was the wide receiver, top wide receiver on the New York Giants back in 2008, you know, he was in a club and he had a gun on him, and the gun ended up going off and shooting himself, and he ended up fleeing. And he still got 4 years as a result. He didn't try to hurt anybody. He just got that for having it happen in a public place.
But he wasn't Diddy.
He wasn't Diddy.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.